tonight on the fly, just in time for Valentine's Day, we go top 10 rock ballads. So get your little hearts out. And no, I promise you, on my part, there will be no Taylor Swift songs up here. But I don't know about that guy sitting up there in the screen. Travis Kelce may have got to him. All that for this week on the fly.
Hey, this is Warren from Taming Sari, and you're listening to On the Fly with Stevie and Jason.
You are listening to On the Fly.
All right, guys. I can't get used to the fancy little things I've learned since the first time I had this guy on. It's like I'm like that, and you're probably too young to remember that old Saturday Night Live character Phil Hartman used to do, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. All these things like scare me, frighten me. Yeah, and he was a lawyer though, but he played it well. But with me tonight, he's one step closer to the Five Timers Club, which is only occupied right now by Noelle Tolan. And yeah, she's a doll baby. With me tonight.
Hey, that's good. That's a good, right? She's a doll baby. I like that. I'm going to use that in a song, man. I'm writing that down right now.
Hey, I get credit. Great. I get credit.
Okay. All right. I like that a lot. That's authentic. I love that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. The lead singer for the band Taming Sari, Mr. Warren Meredith. What's up, buddy?
Hey, very good. Very happy to be here. Excited to talk about, broken heart ballads and where they stand with us and which ones really kick our hearts. I'm ready. It's a new year, so we've got the band's got big dreams, and as usual, we've bitten off more than we can chew, but we're going to eat it all. It doesn't matter. We're going to find a way to get her done and win that challenge to eat the 38 burgers or whatever, to have our name up on the restaurant wall. We're going to hold the record somehow,
You remind me right then, it's a great old movie. I don't know if you ever saw it. John Candy, Canadian guy, The Great Outdoors.
The best. Yeah, man.
He ate
John Candy was the best.
Oh God, dude. He was great. There's not. I can't think of a bad movie he put out. I mean, and The Great Outdoors was just one of a kind to me.
Yeah, man. He came in with that FCTV crew, and the Dan Aykroyd timeline and all that. All those guys, those Canadians that were crossing over because of Lorne Michaels. Who had made it big, right? And he was paying attention. So, I mean, that's how you ended up with, in the end, Mike Myers and all these guys. I mean, somehow Jim Carrey got it, he ended up on In Living Color, which, I mean, in the end, he was amazing. He was hilarious on that show, and he proved he didn't need Saturday Night Live. But, like, so many Canadian comedians, people say, well, why is all these comedians Canadians? Like, well, that's the whole Lorne Michaels thing.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid, Strange Brew, with that Rick Moranis and God,
yes,
the guy's name,
Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
They were hilarious.
Yeah, well, back in the, I guess it would have been, God, I don't know, I wasn't alive yet, but they had their thing where it was, and they were the drunk Canadian dudes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I know that's kind of what made them, boom, they blew up a bit at that time. So that's kind of cool.
Speaking of the beer thing, weren't you guys doing some Taming Sari beer? Was Alex doing it?
We've done a few different beers, but I mean, it's been a while now, and I don't know if we're gonna do another beer because the last batch it didn't work out. I'll tell you something. I was delivering the beer and to people and hanging out with them, and honestly, like I cracked one open with this couple, and like when I drank it, I was like, "Does this taste like garbage to you?" And they're like, "Yeah, it doesn't taste great." And I was like, but the can looks cool. Does the design look cool? They're like, oh yeah, we're keeping the stickers. And I'm like, but the beer is not great. And they're like, no. So I'll tell you what I think happened. We had all the beers stored in a garage, and it was supposed to be fine. And we were getting it in batches. It was supposed to be small enough to get it out quick enough. But I think some of it soured. And, that's what I think. And that's too bad. But otherwise, I mean, it's been mixed results, but we always try and, like I said, we bite off more than we can chew. Like with the beer stuff, we had like an assembly line where we were putting stickers on cans one of the times. And it was just exhausting because you're trying to get them on right. And then I looked at the price tag for stickers, and it was like $950 or something like that for I don't remember how many stickers, but it wasn't 950. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, we spent $1,000 on stickers. but this is that's, you get into projects and as a band, and they take you somewhere, and you meet people, you meet businesses, you find things out, you learn what things cost, I guess. Yeah. I mean, these are the benefits I try and think of, but all the things that AC/DC said, I'll always say it's all true. And all the things that all the bands say, it's all true. And, if you're watching it on YouTube and you're like, oh, why are the artists always complaining about streaming? And why are the artists always complaining that they don't get paid? The reason they're complaining is 99 or 95%, I guess, if I'm being fair, they're not seeing their money back. To record an album today for a rock band, if they're taking, I'll give you an example. There's a Canadian rock band here that I love called The Damn Truth, and we opened for them not long ago, and they decided they're going to record an album with Bob Rock. Well, the legendary Bob Rock. And so they're from Quebec, so they're going to fly out to Vancouver to use Brian Adams' studio, The Warehouse, because that's where Bob Rock wants to record. And everything there in the studio, supposedly in The Warehouse, there's nothing he doesn't have. So that's why Bob wants to go there, because he's collected everything possible that you could need to use. So here's the cool thing. They're going to get everything out of this experience that they want and more. I have no doubt about it. And they're going to get a hit song out of it or more. I have no doubt about that either. But it's crazy for the bands, because to work with a top flight producer like that, it might be something like $5,000 a song. So you get into an album of 8 songs and your band has just forked out $40K. And the other thing I'll tell you is that's just the first part of an album. The other part is you have to promote it correctly, which means you want to tour it, you want to get it on the internet, you want to get it everywhere, and that costs money. So, it's not, I can't see bands today doing this because they're looking to get rich and famous. I think that's where things have changed maybe a little bit. It's very passion driven. I would say even the people who are having success, it's very passion driven today.
I want to say I just read a headline, and I was looking, and I was looking up The Damn Truth on my Apple Music right then. I'm gonna give them a listen, because at my old age, if I don't go ahead and bookmark it, I'll forget it later on, and I'll be bugging you, asking you, hey, what was the name of that band you were talking about? But I want to say there was an article that came out in the last couple of days that Bob Rock said it's not a good idea for bands to record an album these days. So yeah,
he's dealing with it firsthand. Yeah, he's trying to explain to these bands, look, he's worth every penny. He's worth every penny. And the thing is that's the thing. Producers they work very hard to get their resume to a certain point and to be recognized for a certain skill set. And so he can't get once you hit a certain amount, it's not like you get more. He's a legendary producer. So whatever rate he's put out there, it's this is a workable rate, and it's fair to work with a legend who's produced Metallica, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So it's just as an artist, you crave working with these people. Like once you get into a produced album, and you've done it once, then the next time you want to do it with better equipment, and then the next time you want to do it with a better engineer, and then you want a producer instead of an engineer, and then you want a producer who has an engineer, and onward and on, and it just becomes more and more addicting and awesome too. So it's called the music industry for a reason. It's a team of people to make an album. It's not just a band. It's not just a songwriter. There's a team of people that create a good song. And that's why it's an industry. So it's a team, and everyone needs to get paid. And unfortunately, right now, the model sits so that the artist isn't making money. And in the long run, this will hurt the industry. So we saw a big boom where we have all these new producers because of Pro Tools and it's easy for a lot of people to pick up and learn the beginners of things like that and record their own music. But we're going to see some of that dial back. We're going to see some of that, I think, fall back in the next while because it's just the industry's a little bit dominated right now, it feels. But maybe that's just my pessimism. Get over it, Warren. Get back into it. Get back in there. Come on, Twisted Sister that shit. Let's go. Yeah, man.
You need to hook up with Taylor Swift. That'll get you out of it.
Dude, did you see what happened with her and Celine Dion? They're making a big deal about it up here because everyone up here loves Celine. And I don't blame them. But it's kind of funny. And so I told people that were asking me about it. They're like, what happened? And I'm like, you don't understand that, like, do you not know that, like, Taylor Swift is, like, the queen of hype? Like, she is the best at creating hype for herself and any artist that she deems worthy of it. And I'll tell you something. She never does something because she hasn't planned it, because she hasn't thought of it. And that they were like, so you mean like when Kanye went on stage? I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah. She asked him to do that. She's not a fool. She's incredibly smart. And when she threw shade at Celine, she knew that the next day Celine was going to be the front cover. She was going to be the number one topic. And if she just gone over there and like put her arm around her and smiled, would be nothing.
But
nobody would make anything.
They were talking about earlier. She took a picture with her, and and then they came. That happened, because for those of you who don't know, Celine Dion's been in pretty bad shape here lately. It was amazing that she was there because from what I'm hearing, it was hard for her to even talk. And that's part of the shame with that, because I'm gonna tell you what. Yeah, I listen to the Motley Crues, I listen to the AC/DC stuff like that. Hey, I'm not afraid to tell you, it might have got old, but when My Heart Will Go On came out, that was a beautiful freaking song, dude. That woman she's got a killer voice. I mean, she's got one of the best there.
The memories I have of kids absolutely blowing that song at talent competitions and crying, and their parents being like, well, I told you it was a difficult song.
How would you take that song on if you're not?
Oh man, that movie when I was a kid, when I was like 12 or 13, like that movie, The Girls, that's all they cared about. Leonardo, he died. Why'd he die?
What? You have enough room on that freaking piece of wood for him. Rose sucked.
So I guess would that be considered a ballad to start putting us on the topic of our list? Would we consider that a ballad? I think we would.
That would be a ballad. And I'm gonna look up right now how popular My Heart Will Go On was. How many?
Oh God, it was disgusting. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Blah blah blah. Sony had paid $800,000 for the rights to the soundtrack. Let's see. I'm looking. Bear with me here. The soundtrack version was 31 seconds longer. Wow. Critical reception. Yeah. Accolades. Here's the awards. Academy Award, Best Original Song in 1998. These are all in 1998 so far. Golden Globe Awards, Best Original Song. Soundtrack Single of the Year on Billboard Music Awards. Satellite Award, Best Original Song. Japan Record Awards, Special Achievement Award. Record of the Year in the Grammys in 99. Record Song of the Year, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Best Song written specifically for a motion picture or television. So, yeah. Song was all
and it's wild.
It was given a limited number of copies in the United States, 658,000. Debuted at number 1 with sales of 360,000 copies, where it stayed for 2 weeks. It was out there, guys, but there's a little thing called fatigue, and that got fatigued for me. I could listen to Celine Dion, but that song, when I hear that,
you turn it off. Yeah, you run away. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, Celine. Yeah. You're great, but sorry.
It's odd. Some of the ballads we will talk about tonight are oddly going to come up in the same. They're going to have the same issue.
Yeah.
Which is they are overplayed. And so now they're looked at as not the best anymore. And then what has to happen is some time and space has to take place so that, you can get a breath of air to realize, again, how good that song was. But I mean, I don't want to ruin our lists or anything, but like just as an example, Hotel California. Okay, so there's one legendary ballad that could be on either of our lists.
Right.
But man, that's overplayed just as much as My Heart Will Go On.
But you know, I will listen to Hotel California to this day, just for the guitar solo, the dual guitar solos from Don Felder and what's his name? See,
it's such a vibe. It's such a vibe, the whole thing that you can listen to it and get into it over and over and over again. I agree.
You know what? I'm ashamed of myself, guys, because I remember Don Felder, but I didn't remember the other freaking Joe Walsh. Gosh, how did I remember?
Well, I should have had you on that one. I should have, but I mean, I would have been guessing, but I should have known that too.
Now, some of this on my list is probably going, one of them is going to be real. There's going to be some of the listeners out there say that song is not supposed to be on here. That's Fatigue. There's I don't know what, but there's some up here that people probably haven't heard in a long time, and
that's excellent.
I'm going way back. I'm going back to the 80s with a lot of these, so we'll. I don't know how yours goes back, but
I did a little. I'll tell you something. This got me diving deep, not only into music, of course, but all the music, but got me diving into our own catalog, my band's catalog, and looking at songs. And so obviously we've got Gone and Run Away was our first ballad. Yeah. That was a straight up ballad. And a lot of people tell me they like that song, like couples, and they'll tell me when they're drunk at shows, they'll say, we made love. We made a passionate love to that song. And they'll be like, 40s or 50s or whatever sometimes. And I'll just be like, fantastic.
See,
that is exactly.
You might be responsible for a population explosion in Canada.
Yeah. And maybe it may be true that this may or may not be true that, a past member of the band may or may not have made some kind of love to with someone in a car, a fan in a car, and the album was playing. And the comment afterwards to me was, I never want to hear your voice again. Like you pretty much just ruined my life. And this was the band member. And, like you've ruined my interaction with this music. And I'm like, no, you did. You ruined it. But, so yeah, that might be a made up story. Who knows? So anyways, I was going through it all. And, so ballad is Latin for dance. Now we're going to assume that they're talking slow dance, but we don't know. and it's a medieval French. It used to be a chanson ballade, which is where you get the word ballad from. So I just said song ballad. That's all I said.
Right.
But anyways, it was a medieval thing, and it was all about adventure, romance, or a hero. And maybe a hero in a romantic adventure would really sum up what the great ballads are all about. And then, so what we have is poetry-wise, we've got 4 lines with a rhyme on the second and fourth lines most of the time. But sometimes you'll get an A, B, C, D pattern, which for your poet writers out there, it's just a little bit different. It's instead of an A, B, A, B, which is the more basic. I write mostly A, B, A, B. I'm not gonna lie. But it's tried and tested, and it's true. And you change that up to give a song a different curve, in my opinion, sometimes. But anyways, what else you're looking for here is a commitment to nostalgia. So you really want this song to make you feel like you want to go back somewhere. You want it to make you think about romantic love or community history. And again, it's really interesting because what is Hotel California?
Yeah.
Like, it's about that community history, but it's also got the nostalgia and the romantic love. And then lastly, characters hurriedly unfurling events. So it's a plot-driven song. So these characters are trying to go to a dramatic conclusion, and so it's a slow, sentimental, or romantic song. That's how most people know it. But I tried to give some other details there that maybe give some insight into how I made my list and what we think is going to make a good ballad.
See, that's what I'm talking about here. When you bring Warren on, you get a history lesson too. You're
damn right.
you go really deep into what a ballad is. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So since you've done all that work, I'm gonna let you start off at number 10.
Okay. Number 10, I think we're gonna I've got them all here. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to go with Stand By Me, Ben E. King.
Yeah.
And I just think that it sets a standard going forward for so many songs, be it pop or rock or pop rock or whatever, soul, R&B, on and on and on. I think it's just a crazy good song. The first time I heard it as a kid, I loved it. I was infatuated with it. I'll often judge a song today by, did I like it when I was a little kid and the first time I heard it? Because your judgment level is so great, I find, at that age where, I remember being 3 years old dancing to ba-da-la-la-la-bamba, and that's my memory, and being in one of those crib things, dancing with the babysitter telling me to go wild, So sometimes I try and judge a song that way. So yeah, Stand By Me, Benny King.
Stand By Me took on new life. I mean, I vaguely remembered hearing the song before, but back when the movie came out, of course, with the late River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, can't remember the other two guys' names, gosh knows. But anyway, that took on new life for Benny King then, and that really got it in the limelight for me. Stand By Me is a great song. I mean, that is a great song. Maybe that needs to be one of the Taming Sari does a cover album. You'll do Stand By Me on it.
And I know it's kind of outside of the rock, but it's just it. I think that's why it's 10. But I think it influences so much of it. That's why I put it in.
And I like what you said about as a kid, did you like it as a kid? Because there's so much as a kid that I get what you're saying there. I think I was. That was me at an early age. Did I like that song as a kid? Because I at such an early age, I was, my parents listened to music all the time, Beach Boys, Elvis. I can remember several other things that Dad listened to. Mom was all about Elvis. I mean, that was pretty much all I saw her listen to was Elvis. Dad had Thank you very much.
That guy, man. He had some great ballads.
And actually, I've got one up here on my honorable mentions of his. So,
Heck yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get to my number 10.
Okay.
And this is probably gonna be a surprise to somebody, but this, as a 13-year-old kid, chubby and short, looking like a stump, this song comes on the radio, and I'm not real aware of that band at the time or of their history, but hearing this song, and it was a ballad, Amanda by Boston. Tom Dale has got one of the voices in the history of rock and roll. And when this song comes on with the acoustic intro, and I'm like, and man, he hits notes up there that I'm like, how is this guy doing this? And the funny thing about this, they put out that album in '86. It was Third Stage. This song ends up being Boston's highest charting single with no music video.
Amazing. How old were you, and where were you the first time you heard Amanda?
This was actually had to be that year, so I would have been 13. It was in '86 when it came out.
Okay, year I'm born.
It'd have to be listening to like the radio station on my little boom box, and yeah, and I was just like, holy crap, who is this? Because I didn't know who Boston was then, and then of course you go back and listen to all the great debut album by Boston, probably one of the great debut albums in the history of rock and roll. And to know, I didn't know this till doing the research. This song was actually demoed in 1980 by Boston.
Wow.
And it was their first single since '78. And I mean, shortly after, of course, this album, Third Stage, gets Boston back in the limelight again, and people start discovering what Boston's past was. And but Amanda, for me to this day, there was a lot. It brings back a lot of memories. You talk about nostalgia. It brings back a lot of memories for me. High school dances and stuff. They play that was sure to be played every dance. But yeah, that's my number 10 right there. Is Amanda by Boston.
Very nice. You want me to jump in now?
Go ahead, buddy. You're good.
All right, number 9. Let's go Canadian. Let's go Skid Row, I Remember You.
Oh.
And I mean, so that's more, I think, that's 80s for sure. That's more up the alley of classic rock ballads. So Sebastian Bach, of course, I think is like one of the best voices. And honestly, he was too cocky. I get it. He was way too cocky, and he threw too many people off. But man, did he look gorgeous, right? I mean, I'm a man, but I can appreciate that in his prime, that dude was a killer, a stone cold killer.
He was the prototype 1980s rock band lead singer. He did what he was supposed to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Take what you want to of him now, but that guy, he fit the mold so well.
Yeah, he was awesome. And I also love him in the Trailer Park Boys episodes. I don't know if you've ever watched those.
I have. My brother loves the Trailer Park Boys. I've got to give it a try.
Basically, there's some episodes where the boys are interested in going to a model train convention, of all things, because Bubbles is obsessed with it. Bubbles is that character with the big glasses, right? With the coke-eyed glasses. So he really wants to go to this train exhibition. And who is there for some reason with his trains on display but Sebastian Bach? So, I mean, it's pretty great. It's pretty fantastic. You have to get into it. It's great.
I remember you was actually was it my junior prom, the theme to our junior prom. And I remember because we had to, when you were a junior at our school, we had to build the set for the prom, and we have to come up with the theme, and that was a big hit then. So we just did. So let's go with Skid Row. Let's go with I Remember You. So, but yeah, I remember getting that album or getting the cassette because I'm that old. Getting the cassette and seeing them on like, I go to my friend's house because I didn't have cable. Watch Headbangers Ball and seeing Skid Row. Then when they come out with, because that was a thing back then. There was a formula for these bands in the 80s. You call them hair bands, whatever you want to. They don't like being called hair bands anymore. But that was the formula for them back in after Motley Crue Home Sweet Home came out. They were all said, okay, here's what we got to do. We've got to have at least one power ballad on an album. He said, and sometimes some of them would do two, but
definitely
you're going to at least get one, and everyone was doing it. So, I definitely that didn't make my list, but it's one of my honorable mentions that we'll get to later. All right. So my number 9, and it's this that some people are going to probably crucify me for it and say it's fatigued. It's probably fatigued, but it was, and say what you want to, the haters on this song, but I guarantee you, back in the day when it came out, if you were around back in the day when it came out, you were dancing with a girl, you were listening to it, now you were singing it when you were by yourself, for sure. Comes out October of '88. The third single from their second album, Open Up and Say Ah. Talking about Poison's Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
I saw it. I was thinking about taking it, and I honestly knew you were going to take it. I said, I'm not going to, I said, I just know it. I know this song in some way. He lived through this song. So there's something about it. I know how powerful that song is. Yeah, that's a big one.
My first concert was from that tour, the Open Up and Say Off tour. They, Tesla opened up for them, and we'll get to Tesla in a little bit. But song, it's funny. He wrote this song about a night when he was in a laundromat, waiting for his clothes to dry, and he called his girlfriend on the payphone, and he heard a male voice in the background, and it said he was just crushed. And he sat there in the laundromat and wrote the lyrics to Every Rose Has a Thorn. So never know what you might get the inspiration at. You might write, who knows? You might be delivering beer again and write the next big single for Taming Sari.
Listen, it's true. All the stories of how the good songs get written, I think they're all pretty funny. They're all, I like the one where Chris Cornell says, with Black Hole Sun, how he dreamt it, and he woke up and he got in the car to go somewhere, and he sang the whole song. He said, I sang the whole melody, the whole song. I just sang it driving, and then I went home and I put it in chords, put it on guitar. So he says, it was in a dream. Well, why? I don't know. So I think it's cool. You never know where it's going to come from or how it's going to happen. I don't really have any magic stories like that. I think for me, it's mostly a grind.
Not yet. But, I hope he wasn't dreaming of the video for Black Hole Sun. That's a freaking nightmare there. That video is like whoo.
Knowing his mind, it very well could have been, sadly.
You talk about a voice. That guy had an iconic voice there. I mean, no doubt about it. You knew. Oh,
him and Chester going down one after the other was losing two of the best vocalists in the world back to back. I mean, in their realm, they weren't really challenged. In their each respective genre, I would think they sat at the top. I mean, look, Lane Staley and other guys like that could challenge Cornell, but they left very quickly. They didn't have very much staying power, unfortunately. And Cornell was from that horrible, amazing Seattle scene that produced both the best but also the most self-destructive rock artists that America could have made. And I mean, I don't know why they all turned out so self-destructive, except we talked about the drugs earlier, you and I, about how it's gone to hell in Vancouver and parts of the States with the fentanyl and crap like that. So, I understand. And it's not easy being an artist. That's the other thing. People are, how do they keep falling into this trap? Well, feeling good comes from writing a good song and having it responded to well and all this and that. And you get incredibly great feelings from that and great feelings from being on stage, but the lows that come with it. It's like being a professional athlete. Yeah. And here in Ottawa, we have this hockey team here. And I'm sorry for your American listeners, but yeah, we've got this hockey team up here in Canada. And I'll tell you what they're criticized for right now heavily is what they're calling game management. So they're saying that all these guys are kids and there's not enough veterans to tell them, look, don't get too high and don't get too low. So what if you score a goal? So what if they score a goal? It's not about getting too high or getting too low, because that's how things compound and all of a sudden spiral out of control. So yeah, that was my little analogy thing, but I spun out of control there myself. Are we on 8 now?
Yeah, you're on number. See that? That's what you get Warren on here. You get history lessons and you get analogies. I mean,
oh yeah, we got metaphors. Oh god, yeah.
The show IQ has just tripled with Warren.
I need some more beer then, I guess. All right, let's go with number 8. You know what? I'm gonna keep it Canadian again, just because it'll be funny this way. April Wine, Just Between Me and You. And of course, this is also Miles Goodwin just passed away not very long ago. And he was the lead singer, the writer, the founder of April Wine. And for us up here, they're a heavy hitter. And especially when it came to ballads. They released like 4 or 5, 6 crazy, well-received ballads. Kind of like Boston, in Styx. That type of thing, and but they were our Canadian version, I guess you could say.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that's somebody I've been meaning to listen to since the last time you were on, because you talked about them. I have not. I've got them on. Actually, they're coming up on my list. What's the name of? I got their Nature of the Beast. Is that one of their albums?
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. I think you would definitely love it.
I'm gonna give it a shot. I've got it on my list up here. So
yeah, definitely dive into that, and I think you will. Yeah, it's 70s. It's 70s, early 80s. It's gold.
I think they were actually, and I may be wrong here, but back before Playlist and before you had now that's what I call music albums. There was a record company called K-Tail Records that would come out with these albums that had like the greatest hits of that year or something like that. And I want to say April Wine was on one of them we had, but I may be wrong there. But
very possible.
Yeah. All right. Number 8 on my list is this band, and we're going back to the 80s again. Big shocker there. This band was probably at their prime at this time, 1988. They had just come out with this album that for fans of that band, I mean, they went on a 3-record stretch, especially with the 3 records I'm thinking about that were just killer. The New Jersey album from Bon Jovi, I'll Be There.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That, and I mean, it's got some nostalgia for me too. Like I said, we could go back with most of these songs and go back to my high school like dance and stuff, listen to that and where cassette again. But these were the old days, and man, I'm talking about when I'll Be There For You came on. I was like, okay, these guys have hit their prime right here. I mean, they know what they're doing. They knew exactly what to target. They had the girls eating out of the palm of their hands with this song. And there was a line in there that I kind of wonder. I would love to hear how this song was wrote when the line near the end, didn't mean to miss your birthday, baby. I wish I'd seen you blow those candles out. I'd love to hear the story of how they came up with that, because the story with me as a kid, and I'm not proud of this. There was a girl I was well, if you call it dating at the time, but Valentine's Day come along, and big doofus right here. I guess Valentine's Day snuck up on me, and she gave me all this stuff, and I had hardly anything for her. And you talk about felt so bad. To this day, I feel bad about it. That's one of my shameful parts as a teenager for me. And I was like, when I heard "didn't mean to miss your birthday," I was like, didn't mean to miss Valentine's Day.
So I think that's interesting because it's nostalgia, but it's a negative nostalgia. Isn't that interesting? Like, it's a painful nostalgia, but you still enjoy, in a way, having it brought back to you in a musical fashion. Like, it's not only remembering the first kiss. Sometimes it's remembering the first time you just screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the first times. I'm trying to think. Was that the first time I really screwed up with a girl? Because let me tell you, 13 years old, like I said, stumpy, looked like a stump. Then somehow, summer of my 14th year, I had a very little growth spurt, but I had down, and that's when it was like, hey, they were starting to notice then, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of this. I like this. I like getting noticed. But so that probably was my first time really screwing up with a girl. Thanks, Bon Jovi.
Yeah. What do you think about the painful performances that they showed of him, where he's really struggling, and it's really painful to watch? And I don't know why anyone would want. I mean, I guess they need the money. Like, I understand from this perspective. I understand that he has got a team of probably like 150 people, depending on a paycheck. And if he says, I'm not going to go, I'm guessing none of them get a paycheck. So, I mean, that's the only way I could see him forcing himself in those situations.
I'm hearing now, and matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I just recorded a top 10 Bon Jovi songs with the guys from the Right Between the Eyes podcast that may already be out by the time you hear this. But we talked a little bit about there's a lot of Bon Jovi news going on right now. The 40th anniversary of the debut album. And there was a lot of rumors going around. Maybe him and Richie are getting back together. I think that's kind of died down. I don't think that's going to happen now. But the new album was announced. There's going to be another album, and this will probably be the last one. And if it's like the last album that came out, it should be the last one, because the last album was terrible. I mean, but
the magic's not there. No. There is a magical element to music, and it's a chemistry. It's the band members and the songwriters being on the exact same page in every single way. And I can see that at their points and what they've gone through, that it wouldn't be the same, It
hasn't been the same since Richie left. I mean, they had a chemistry not only on stage but as songwriters. I would put them, and people will probably laugh, I would put them in my top 5 of like rock duos. I mean, because
you could argue it, definitely. Yep. They
had chemistry, no doubt about it. But what I'm hearing too, he hasn't said anything about touring, and I don't think he's, maybe he shouldn't. If his voice is like it was the last tour, maybe he shouldn't. I mean,
I wouldn't, but I mean, obviously they love him. If he's selling the tickets and people are still going, it's that old cliche saying, are they laughing with you or at you? So are they going to see you because you're good or because you're bad? And, I'll tell you, American Idol or Canadian Idol that I worked on up here, you get your golden ticket, right? If you went after your audition, and you audition for a TV producer. And TV producers are the most evil people you'll ever meet. I mean, I promise you. Just they what they want is great action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you either got to be really bad or really good to get that golden ticket. And so I guess that's the line that Bon Jovi's playing with right now. But I wouldn't want to play that game when if I had achieved the quality that he had produced. I mean, he was one of the best rock vocalists, and definitely one of the best lyricists. Like you were talking about duos, like talk about like shot through the heart. Yeah. Just, you know, how they write an entire song off one line.
Yep.
And then they figured that out. That was their trick. We're just going to find one line all the time that we think is amazing. Yeah. And then that's it. We're going to go with it. So, I mean, little tricks like that. Every band offers you little insight into how they did things. It's kind of cool. All right, number 7 for me.
About touring. If he tours and you people out there buy tickets, you guys know what the situation is. So don't come up there and saying, "Oh, he sounds hard." Yeah, the guy's been putting it down for 40. Same thing with Paul Stanley from Kiss. The guy did it for 50 plus years.
He canceled the show here in Canada. He canceled the shows, and people just lost it. They went bananas. Well, all the people that I'll say are Taming Sari fans that I'm, you know, friends with. And I'll see their reactions on Facebook and, "Oh, we're going to Toronto tonight because they canceled the Ottawa show, but we're going to go." And I'm thinking, he's canceling the show tomorrow too. If it's bad enough that he's canceling this, he's canceling tomorrow. And
he wasn't really worried about that. He was just worried about getting to freaking Madison Square Garden to finish.
Exactly. Poor Canadians, right? Poor Canadians. Okay, speaking of which, number 7. We'll go number 7 here. I'm gonna let's go Bryan Adams. Everything I do, and I do it for you. And you know, Bryan Adams, I think, so there's a bit of a connection here to Ottawa. He spent some years here where I live during high school years, and I've got some good stories from people that knew him. Tom Cruise also lived here for a couple of years, and there's also funny stories about that. But anyways, so getting back, who was I talking about now?
Bryan Adams.
Exactly. So he went to high school here, and some buddies of mine who are older and come out to our shows and that and support us, they were in the band with him, I guess, for a week. And they said after a week, Bryan just came in and he just said, "Guys, we're in different places. I want to take this really seriously. And I just don't think any of you are up to it." Hey, and just like that,
Jimmy and Jody.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right. Well, actually, the guy who told me the story, his name is Cannon. Shout out to Cannon Paglam. Real estate. Come on, Ottawa. Go get Cannon Paglam Real Estate if you want to buy or sell your house. He's a good dude. Anyways, I got lots of plugs tonight. For example, I'm quitting smoking. I'm quitting smoking. So tonight's top 10 list is brought to you by Nicorette Chewing Gum. This shit's horrible. I really want a cigarette, but
it's a good thing, dude. Let me tell you, and you're not gonna believe it. I'm 50 years old. I've never touched a cigarette in my life.
Good, because I'm almost ready to go tackle somebody for one.
Don't do it. How long have you been without one?
5 days. 5 days.
Dude, let me tell you, my dad smoked like a freight train from the time he was like 14 years old. He had back when he was in his 50s. The valve blew off his heart. He lost a lot of blood, a lot of fluid. He swears up and down. After that, he didn't want, which we weren't allowed to have one, but he said, "I lost a craving for nicotine." He said, "I swear, I think when I lost all that blood and that fluid, it got out of me. Nicotine got out of me." So, yeah. Don't do it, dude. Don't do it.
I'm fighting the good fight. We got big plans this year. The band's got big plans. I'm trying to get my voice ready to go on I want my voice to handle the road okay, make it through a show to show tonight basis, and you got to take care of yourself. Plus I'm getting a little bit older. I'm not 100 yet, but I'm getting a little bit older. And how old am I?
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say. I'm 29, but I already said I was born in '86. So I was born in '86. So you know, there you go. And I feel like I'm ancient now, you know. But that's just because I've been doing the music. I've been living this life. So you don't count the days or anything like that when you're rocking out and you're playing music. You love it so much, and all of a sudden you look back and like I did the Facebook post the other day where it was showing like where I was 5 years ago, where I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And each day, the same day, all these years I was playing the show. I was somewhere performing. So, you know, it just shows like it's about what you love. It's about doing it. People say, well, yeah, it's true. Get into it. Do it. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you love something, get into it. Do it. Don't wait. The days are ticking. So just do it. Don't care what anyone says.
Tomorrow either.
Yeah. So I was number 7. I said Bryan Adams, everything I do. And I did the little story about Bryan Adams. He's got this amazing warehouse studio in Vancouver. And my friends, The Damn Truth, they were recording there with Bob Rock. So that's my 6-way connection to everything I do.
And, you know, we talked about a little bit about Celine Dion earlier with the Titanic. This was an epic soundtrack song from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner movie. And I mean, Bryan Adams is probably one of my top 10 favorite artists, and maybe top 5, because you know, from the time I heard Summer of '69, you know, when Reckless came out till now, and he still puts out. And there is a Kiss connection. I don't know if you know about this. There's a Kiss connection with Bryan Adams. Believe it or not, Bryan Adams is one of the co-writers of Creatures of the Night album for Kiss, of War Machine.
I believe it.
There's another.
Yeah.
I think it's Rock and Roll Hell. He co-wrote that song. So yeah, they were actually recording close by, and I think and he came down and started talking to Paul Stanley, and then, you know, they said, "Hey, what?" And I want to say he played a riff or something that they heard, and they went from there, and War Machine was born. But
he's a fan. He was always an amazing songwriter. Like from day one, I think that was always, besides his voice, besides his like patent voice. And I mean, me as a kid, what I fell in love about with Bryan Adams as a kid was that song All for One and All for Love. And it was the trio, right? Rod, and they're like 3 of my favorites. It's Sting, and it's Rod Stewart, and it's Bryan Adams, and like they're all killing it. And they're all like a producer's wet dream. Each one is displaying why any of them, a producer would just be like, please let me have this person to sing this song. Instead, he got all 3 of them, which was pretty amazing.
The next time you come on is going to be top 10 Bryan Adams songs.
Nice. I definitely.
Bryan Adams, look, and you talk about this song, but there's another ballad out there that I would put right next, maybe not as good as this one, but right next to it.
Yes.
Out the what was the name of his greatest hit album? So Far, So Good, So What? I think that was the name. I may be wrong. Please Forgive Me. Just a great, and that voice has not changed either. He hasn't lost anything off his voice.
No.
The guy incredible. I mean, I love some Bryan Adams.
He has a good side. I'll tell you this. He has a good side. I have a photographer friend who shoots his shows, and he's like the best photographer in the city here. So he gets like the prime seat to take the pictures, and prime position, right? And he gets told, you don't take pictures of Bryan on this side. So he has a good side that photographers are told, you got to take pictures this side of the face. Okay, so kind of cool.
I'm gonna have to start looking at Bryan Adams' pictures now to see what his good side is. So
my dad was a janitor at the auditorium here at the Canadian Tire Center. He went out for a smoke. This was years ago, and there was this guy in black boots and tight black jeans, and my dad tried to start selling him on my album because he thought he was a rocker. And the guy said, "Thanks, man. I'm Bryan Adams. I'm playing tonight."
Are you kidding?
Yeah, my dad's stories of being a janitor at this building are hilarious.
I bet.
Example, he watched Prince and Prince's group of his entourage played basketball outside the auditorium 2 hours before he went live. Exactly like the Dave Chappelle sketch. Exactly like it. And I told my dad, I'm like, that's not fair. People would have paid hundreds of dollars to watch that.
Something that not many people would see.
Yeah. Anyways, it's time for your number 7, Stevie.
Number 7. And this is a band that came along in the late 80s and managed to stay around for a while. And they're still going today. This was an epic music video. I mean, this is one of those. This video pretty much, it was part of a trilogy, and this was this part 2? I want to say this was part 2. Could have done, maybe the song's a little too long. I could have done without the some of the stuff at the end, but yeah, Guns N' Roses, November Rain.
Yeah, I think our list would be like incomplete without that.
The Use Your Illusion albums. This one was off. Was this the second or the first one? I forget. It doesn't matter. It came out. Use Your Illusion 1, the third single from that. But when this came out, and you see the video, and I'm like, I want to. They say all of this is based on like a short story by Dale James, who was good friends of Axl Rose. I think he's passed away now. Short story called, Without You. But yeah, this video, I mean, you start off at a wedding, him and his girlfriend at the time, Stephanie Seymour, who was a doll baby. You can write that down too. She was a doll baby there.
I got it. In brackets here, she was a doll baby. I'll tell you, so I'm going to use it, man. I'm going to shout you out. I'm right into the song credits. I'm going to tell you, you're going to get like this. You're going to get this deposit in your bank account from SOCAN, from this Canadian Artist Protection Group. It's like going to be 44 cents or something like that. But
Great.
You'll be like, that's it. I'm a paid artist. You'll be like, you know.
Exactly. I can say I'm a professional artist. But this was actually, when they recorded it at first, 18 minutes long. Let me tell you, the guitar solo on here from Slash. I mean, what can you say? It's a great. This is a 9-minute song. So they cut it in half. But the guitar solo for Slash, after that, maybe do a little bit of the outro, and they could have got by with that. But listening to somebody say over and over again, don't you think that you need somebody? Don't you think that you need someone? Everybody needs somebody. You're not the only one. That part, that part of the song I could have dealt without. But take nothing. Really
interesting.
Not 50,000 times though, dude.
Just joking. I'm just being hard on you. I'm being hard on you. That's all.
Over and over. I actually, when it gets past the guitar solo, maybe I hear it one time go through, and I'll skip the rest of it. But you know, you hear Axl playing the piano at first, and then the video is kind of confusing about what happens because you're at a wedding, you're at the reception, and all of a sudden there's a guy diving through the wedding cake for some reason, and it rains, I guess for the November rain, and then the next thing you know, you're at Axl's wife's funeral. What? I want to know what happened at the freaking wedding. I want to know what happened. I'm so confused.
Is your brain at least like, is it filling in the holes? Is it filling in the gaps for like with your imagination, or is it just completely? It's ruined the song for you.
I don't know. It just you know, I'm sitting here watching it and I look at it. What the heck happened? You go from a wedding just like that, and it's not like, and I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. But you know, I don't know how much money they spent on that video, but I've heard it was millions and millions for the video. But man, it takes nothing away from it. Just like I said, it is they call it a Don't Cry, November Rain, and Estranged form an unofficial trilogy. So Dale James short story Without You served an inspiration for the video. So, and I've not been able to find freaking Dale James Without You. If anybody knows where I can find it, let me know. I would love to read it and find out what the heck is going on there. But yeah, it's a great song. And Guns N' Roses at that time, probably in their prime as far as popularity. And I think Axl kind of on that tour, Axl kind of with his little shenanigans probably damaged that a lot from going off stage and ending shows early because he was or not coming out till 11 o'clock because you're watching a Monday night football game. Yeah, so stuff like that. If you ever get big, Warren, don't go out there and say, hey, I was watching a hockey game and I couldn't start the concert till the hockey game went in overtime. So sorry I kept you 2 hours late. But anyway, yeah. Number 7 for me, November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
Very nice. All right. Number 6. I like to go with, anything I can think of a personal connection to. And this one, I've got a couple of funny ones. I'm not sure. Like this, I don't know what you're going to think about this choice. I really don't know. Okay, here we go.
Hit me.
If You Leave Me Now by Chicago. Now, this song, the first connection that I think of immediately is in South Park. There's a character named Butters, okay? And Butters will often be alone, and you'll just see him all of a sudden, he'll start going, ooh, baby, please don't go. And it's so catchy. It really is so catchy. And, if you leave me now, you take away the. It's so good. And
let me ask you this:
so,
why did you think you didn't know how I would take this pick?
I don't know. It's a little different. It's got the horns.
Chicago.
So great. There's this the guy who produced it. His name is Nick Blagona. Am I still coming through there? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you, Nick Blagona. You hear me?
All right. Let's see if we come back.
Hold up.
I hear you. We're not lining up right now.
Can you hear me now?
I'll be right back.
All right. So, little bit of the technical difficulty. We'll edit this out because we're not live. And he is froze. Look at that picture there, though. Look at that face there. You got a ginger there, dude. If he hears me saying this, either that. Hold on. How about now?
Okay,
There's 2 Warrens up here at the bottom, and in the green room down here, there's 2 Warrens.
All right. Let's hope that my internet here, my Canadian internet, can do the job. You never know. You never know in the frozen north.
But dude,
so
I love some Chicago.
Yeah, and so Nick Blagona, my friend years ago, paid like $1,200 to sit on a producer session with Nick Blagona, and he played him some music that I was singing on. And this, I don't know, this was like 15 years ago or something. Anyways, he played some music that I was singing, a track that I was singing on. And Nick Blagona, this guy who produced this band, he also, I believe, produced the Bee Gees. So he's a big fan of, yeah. So he said that the guy singing on the track, and he was referring to me, Nick Blagona's comment was that the guy singing on the track needs to pull harder on his pee-pee to get the notes out better. Because he's not hitting the high notes the way that Nick Blagona likes. So I never, ever would have satisfied the producer for Chicago or the Bee Gees. He loved that, and I wasn't giving that to him, So I got criticized by the guy who produced If You Leave Me Now. So there you go. That's my little connection to the song.
Well, okay. Another ballad, maybe not Chicago, but definitely Peter Cetera. After Chicago.
Yes.
From the Karate Kid Part 2, Glory of Love.
Big time. I was gonna pick this. I'm so glad you did. I didn't pick it because I was like,
I didn't pick it. I'm just saying. I want to get your thoughts on that. Glory of Love.
what a huge song. That song's addictive. I mean, the first time you hear it, you're like, oh, this is so cheesy, and like, why did they do this like this? But the second time you hear it, you're like, oh, okay, and then it's over. It's very catchy.
Yes, and look, there was a TV show. I don't know if you guys got it in Canada, but back in it probably in the early 2000s, called Yes Dear, and there was an episode.
Kevin James.
Yes, no, Kevin James. It was I can't think of the guy.
Oh no, Yes Dear. That was a different one. Who was Yes Dear?
I can't think of the guy's name, but he reminds me of Kevin James. I can see where you said Kevin James, but
dang it. Now I gotta look.
There was an episode where one of the characters, you had the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law that stayed out in the little guest house, and then the brother that was the smart guy. But there was an episode where he was trying to find the courage and the strength to take up for himself or do something. And every time it would happen, where the moment where he would need to do it, the part of Glory of Love came on. I am a man who will fight for your honor.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
He would look up like this, and he was getting the strength from that song. So that was great. But yeah, Karate Kid 2, man. I love some Karate Kid.
Hell yeah.
Daniel-san, Mr. Miyagi. Cobra Kai coming up on the last season of Cobra Kai is coming out soon. But I'm not too thrilled about the new Karate Kid movie. Have you heard about that?
No.
They're going to put a Karate Kid movie out. And look, when they did the reboot or the remake of it with Will Smith's son and Jackie Chan, my daughter she was young. And of course they had the Justin Bieber song on it. And she was going through her Bieber phase. So we had to watch it over and over again. But they're going to have, I guess it's going to be like Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse, Karate Kid in the Karate-verse. Jackie Chan's character and Ralph Macchio's character is going to be in the movie.
I don't think Bieber's a phase. I used to not dislike the guy a little bit, but I don't. I love him now a little bit more than I used to. He was at the All-Star game here in Canada, so that got him a lot of points with the Canadian fans because he was skating around. And I'll tell you something, all the players were coming to get their picture with him. Yeah. And he has this patent smile thing where he tilts his head and it's the same thing for everybody. But he's so good at it. He's like, yeah, come on over. And they wrapped out 25 pictures in 5 minutes, because he's able to just go, Mr. Beautiful, but he's a hell of a talent. There's no denying that. He's pound for pound very talented, amazingly so. So I don't think anyone Canadian wise, we don't even try anymore. We just say, yeah, he's the best. Yeah. Because there's Taylor Swift, right? You guys have the OG. You guys have the best. You guys have the best of the best. So the fact that we got Biebs in there, at least that gives us something in the modern world. Because like you were saying, it's going back to My Heart Will Go On with Celine. And that's going back, Oh, yeah. That's going back to the days of El Nino.
That's going back to the days of Titanic released on VHS, and it had to be 2 different tapes. You had to take one out and put the second tape in to watch the ending. So yeah, it wasn't streaming or anything like that. But all right, so my number 6, and I've got a tie. And this is my band. This is Kiss. Of course, the iconic power ballad for them from the 80s was Forever. And that is a big time hit for me. Yeah, and the biggest thing on Forever for me was Eric Carr's drumming. This is a ballad, but when you see him start on the video, I love the video when he starts. And I mean, he hits it hard. But this was Kiss had kind of been on the back burner, and this put him back in the top 40 again. Co-written by, of all people, Michael Bolton. Paul Stanley and Michael Bolton wrote this song.
Hey, Michael Bolton could probably have a few songs on our list, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. If we really went, we could go by year in the like every year in the 80s.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Some great ballads that we're not talking about tonight. But the tie, all right, Forever is one. The tie is another Kiss song that I think if it should have been released as a single and it would have been a big hit if they hadn't done it in the makeup. This was off Creatures. Paul Stanley in his prime singing I Still Love You. I don't know if you've ever heard that song before. But
I think so.
If I can make a suggestion to anybody out there that has not heard it before, go Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your music at, and listen to the unplugged version of I Still Love You. This song was written about his relationship with, you may not remember this lady, Donna Dixon, an actress back in the early 80s. Another doll baby. And
I love it. I love it.
Believe it or not, she dumped Paul Stanley for all people. You mentioned him earlier. Dan Aykroyd. He was married to Dan Aykroyd for, I think they just recently got divorced a few years back. But she dumped Paul Stanley for Dan Aykroyd. And this is the song about, the heartache and how his feelings. But, man, Paul Stanley in his vocal prime, that 1996 Unplugged CD or whatever, singing I Still Love You, that is Paul Stanley. That is what I always remember at his best right there. But, yeah, Forever and I Still Love You, two great Paul Stanley and Kiss ballads. If you guys haven't checked that out, I know everybody thinks of Kiss and thinks of the guy that spits the fire, breathes fire, spits blood. But, yeah, they have a softer side, too. So check those two songs out. But those are my number 6.
Very nice. All right. Number 5, let's go with Purple Rain by Prince. I just think that's a big powerhouse one to start the top 5 off with. And obviously everyone loves singing along with that song. So, I mean, I think that's another great tell. How great is the song if everybody wants to sing it? If everybody just starts singing the song, it's pretty good.
You ever seen the movie?
I think, yeah. Oh, yeah. Classic.
As good as the song is, it's one of those cult classics because it's so bad it's good. You have to
exactly.
Are you going to purify yourself in Lake Minnetonka, whatever the name of that lake was? Where you oh my God! And then,
Lake Minnetonka. Oh, it makes me think of Dave Chappelle immediately. Like they start going into the Dave Chappelle impression.
Yes, the Morris Day and the Time. Oh my gosh, they were hilarious in that. But it was not an Academy Award winning movie. But if you get a chance to watch it, dude, it was great. I remember buying into the whole Prince thing. I was in that. I still was a Kiss fan, but the Prince and Michael Jackson phase too, where I bought the Purple Rain T-shirt and all that stuff. But yeah, Purple Rain. That's a little bit further up on my list. So that's probably going to be our first repeat there.
Nice. Well, it's top 5. I put it top 5. I didn't want to steal your thunder. I'm sorry.
It's number 4 for me. No, that's fine. I like it when we have repeats up here. So it just shows we got the same taste, somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So number 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I was shocked to hear that this was not this band's original song. That another band had wrote it and recorded it back in '83. And it was actually recorded again by an actress named Valerie Stevenson and actor John Stamos. Believe it or not, this is stuff that I was shocked to hear. It was for
That is pretty shocking.
A CBS sitcom back in '84 called Dreams. Now, I have heard the original version. I have not heard the John Stamos version. So I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find that, because their character's name in this Dreams was Lisa Copley and Gino Manelli. I'm like, what the freaking A? But anyway, the group that made this iconic for me was Ann and Nancy Wilson and Hart, and the name is Alone.
I have it on my list. Yep, there we go.
Gosh,
nice. So that's your number 5 is Alone?
Yes, the piano intro, and when that guitar hits, especially on the video, that crowd just raise up. Oh my gosh! And let me tell you, the Wilson sisters had, they're sisters all, but we talk about that chemistry. They've got that chemistry, and glad to see their work. They've worked things out. They had a little rift between each other for a couple of years, but now it seems like that's done, and they're gonna go on tour and maybe come out with some new music. But I mean, Alone. What can you say?
Very nice.
It's there to me. This song, and I know Hart, when they talk about like the self-titled album, they talk about Bad Animals, which I think is one of their best albums, top to bottom. And that album I could listen to front, backwards, no skips for me. They talk crap about this time in their period, but for people like me that didn't know about at the time about Barracuda and Magic Man, this song got me to, hey, what else did they sing? This got me to go back in the catalog and find out about that. I mean, that happens with a lot of bands. Bon Jovi still hates 7800 Fahrenheit. Kiss hates some of their stuff. I mean, Unmasked and The Elder. But, guys, if it's good enough for us as fans that we like it, when you come out and say stuff like that, that feels like an insult to us. Don't give it.
Okay, well, sometimes I agree with what you're saying. I'll just say, like, sometimes, for example, with Slash, like one of the songs we haven't spoke about maybe here, Sweet Child of Mine. Okay. Yeah. And Slash, he despises this song. And of course, it's probably their most beloved song in the world. But the thing is they had 9 solos. He played 9 solos for this song. And the one that they picked was his number 9. Oh, so it was like the solo they picked for it was not his choice. It was one of the solos he came up with. And then, of course, once it becomes legendary, he always has to play the damn solo the exact same way.
Over again.
And so I think it's like the overplay thing we were talking about with My Heart Will Go On. That was the same situation for them. If a band gets into the situation where this song becomes like as more prominent than the name of the band, then I think it starts to irk the band. The band starts to go, oh, well, we're not really Guns N' Roses, we're just said song titled, and that's what can get, I think, bands frustrated, and then you'll get the artists spouting off. But I mean, in the creation phase, they loved it. Yeah. There was a time when they were really committed to the song, and what's happened is they've just run out of commitment to it.
You talk about Sweet Child of Mine, and I did not realize it till a few years back what his intro is. It's a circus. It's the circus music. It's circus music. He was playing, and they used that for the intro to it. I was like, how did I not know this, not realize this all these years? But yeah, I could totally understand that. But gosh,
I hear it. They don't mean it personally. They don't mean it personally, but I understand what you're saying. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Number 4, and this song kind of took some heat, but again, movie connections and movies, the way they portray a song, it's so important in our pop culture. So, "Dust in the Wind" by Kansas
Okay.
is my number 4, and my memory that pops into my head immediately is Will Ferrell in Old School. It's my boy Blue. That's my boy Blue. And it's a powerful memory, and him trying to sing the song, and I just remember hysterically laughing, but it is so appropriate. The song was so appropriate, but it's just also so cliche. And Kansas just has several of these songs that are like, they're guilty pleasures. People love them, but they also love to make fun of them. But I mean, but it doesn't mean that there isn't something cool or great about it. And the reason it's number 4 for me is because it's just so referenced and everybody knows it. Like, I think I could go to India or some foreign country and say, you know the song "Dust in the Wind," and they'd be like, "Oh yes, I know that song." Like, that's my feeling with it.
Hey, you talk about movie connections. You talk about the Old School, but let's go back to Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted, when they went to get Socrates, it's one of the things they said to him: "All we are is just dust in the wind."
Dust in the wind. Yeah. Exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned Blue. I just put a meme. Somebody sent me a meme, and I posted it on my Facebook group. And they had NYPD Blue, and they had all the characters from NYPD Blue. And then at the front of it, they had Blue up there like he was a cop. So I said I had to post this. My boy.
That's
Blue.
awesome.
My boy Blue.
My boy Blue.
So my number 4, you just talked about it. Your number 5 was "Purple Rain" by Prince.
Yep. Yep.
And this is, as much as I love the song, and I do love it, just like "November Rain," you don't have to do like 4 minutes of.
It kind of makes it iconic in a way.
I mean, it's okay at first, but then at the end, when you hear like the monks chanting in the background, going, "Oh, oh, 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 oh."
But let me ask you this: if you've had a few to drink, or if you've had a few tokes, and you're standing outside and it's blasting in your headphones, I like it, But I mean, you have to have a little buzz on. Otherwise, your critical mind, like you said, will come in. This
song has been like, I played the song probably a million times, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And the first time I heard it, when they did the whole, of course, when you're only used to hearing it on the radio, of course, the radio is not going to play the however many minute version. Let's see, how long was it? 8 minutes and 41 second version of it. They're going to play like the 4 minute shortened version for radio. So when you hear, and then when you get the cassette, which I got it,
cassette, that's so great.
And I hear it, and I was like, okay, when's this going to end? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I hear the monks chanting, and I'm like, okay. But taking nothing away from the song, I mean, despite all of that, it's still,
because you wouldn't get the lighters, you wouldn't get that moment with the lighters in the crowd swaying like this. Like, that's why it's all about, is that moment where the crowd is swaying and they're drunk and they don't even know, but they're loving it. That's why I think he put it in the song. But you're right. There's these moments in songs where it's like the artist seems to take liberties where they go a little bit further than we think it should call for, But I think there's a method to the madness, especially when it comes to Prince. When it comes to people like Prince, they're tricky.
So the origin of the song, I don't know if you've heard about this. I have to mention this. "Purple Rain" was originally written as a country song.
Yeah,
And
I believe it.
a collaboration with, of all people, Stevie Nicks.
Perfect.
She said she received a 10-minute instrumental version of the song. I believe it with monks and all. And Prince had requested her to write the lyrics, but she felt overwhelmed.
Okay.
And she said,
She felt overwhelmed?
yeah, she said, I listened to it and I just got scared. I called him back and said, I can't do it. I wish I could. It's too much for me. So then he got
Wow.
a band to try the song. And in the movie, it's a little different though, because Wendy and Lisa, who were part of the revolution, and still, if you watch the Grammys the other night, I don't know if you guys watched the Grammys the other night, they were out there with Annie Lennox when she did the tribute to the deceased musicians and artists, the people in the music industry this year. I'll put it that way. Those two out there, and they are two talented ladies right there. They've done some great songs over the years. But yeah, they played it in the movie like this was a song that they had put together, and Prince didn't want to do it. And finally, at the end, Prince decides he takes it on his own, and he writes the lyrics, and he decides, all right, we're going to play it. And they're like so thrilled and all this stuff. But Prince explained the meaning of the song as follows: when there's blood in the sky, red and blue equals purple. Purple rain pertains to the end of the world and being with the one you love, and let your faith/God guide you through the purple rain. He mentions it in 1999 on the song.
I can picture him saying it. I can picture him saying this in his Prince ways, and that's great. I mean, that's fantastic. If that's actually what he saw, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, Stevie Nicks. What do I got to say to you, Stevie Nicks?
Doing this together.
Oh, I mean, first of all, Stevie, I just think you did too much cocaine, and that's probably.
I mean, anytime you do enough cocaine to put a hole in your freaking septum up here, yeah, you've done too much cocaine, and somehow you're still alive.
I mean, she's incredible. I don't know how she did it, how she's alive, how she survived, how she thrived, but a lot of them did. Somehow, a lot of them did. I mean, but yeah, great pick. That's a good one.
Purple Rain.
So now we're on number 3.
Yep, you're on your number 3.
Okay, number 3. We're getting really serious now. Oh boy. Okay, let's go. Every Step You Take. The Police.
Every Breath You Take by the Police.
That's right. Sorry. Yes.
I thought you were doing some Bobby Brown there for a minute. Every little step I take.
That's right. That's right. Oh gosh. Anyways, that's my pick because of how much of an earworm it is, and how again, I love the story. When I met with the guys from the London Choir Boys, these were guys who grew up with the Rolling Stones and from the same town, and had a rock band in the same town trying to take off. And they ended up going on tour with Guns N' Roses, and they did too much heroin. The lead singer just did way too much heroin. So it reminds me of the story of what they told me. I opened for these guys when they came to Ottawa, and they said, we were over at Mick Jagger's house, and Mick Jagger had called us up and wanted us all over because he just bought a brand new album. And he said, you need to hear this because it's going to change everything. We're not going to be able to be the same anymore. Like, music is now going to be different. And it was the Police. So it was this style of music that scared the shit out of the old rockers, because they knew the power of this song. They knew the power of this 80s feeling that the Police were going to bring. And I mean, we love it because it gave such a nice difference and feel and, styles, but like, it scared the rockers, at least according to the story I was told.
Is this a stalker song?
It is. I totally think it's a stalker song, but it's a sweet stalker song.
You know what? You know what another stalker song is that nobody not to my knowledge, has ever come out and said it. I don't know if you've ever heard it. Def Leppard, 2 Steps Behind. You ever heard that?
Yeah. That's a good one.
I'll be 2 steps, whatever you need, I'll be 2 steps behind you. Because it only takes a minute of your precious time to turn around. I'll be 2 steps behind. Okay, wait a minute here. Yeah, that's a stalker.
Nice.
Yeah. I just remember that when this song got so big back in 83, my grandma and my great aunt kept us during the day, in the summer especially, and they watched soap operas all day. And there was, I think it was General Hospital, that there was a stalk. Speaking of stalkers, the guy was stalking this lady, and they kept, every time that guy would come up, they played Every Breath You Take, and I was like, this song is giving me the creeps now. And this was when I was 10 years old. But Every Breath You Take. This was really the start of the Police right here. This is when they hit it big. Yeah.
And according to the rockers, it changed the outlook for studio, or for the record labels, and for everybody. It kind of changed the landscape.
Well, that was really at the time when I really started listening to the radio a lot. I mean, I heard a lot of different, because at that age I was like, okay, I've heard the bands I've heard are Elvis, Beach Boys, Kiss, the Bay City Rollers.
Nice.
Yes, I love the Bay City Rollers, dude.
Awesome.
And then, there may be a little bit scattered here and there, but then when I turn the radio on, my little, I get the little radio with the cassette player on it, and I start listening to the radio, I start branching out and hearing all these other guys. I'm like, okay, Casey Kasem of the American Top 40, I listen to that every Sunday, and I started hearing more music, and I was like, okay, there's a guy named Prince, there's a guy named Michael Jackson, the Police, stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, this is really, I would love to go back to this period of time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as far as a kid, and start all over again with this, knowing what I know now. I mean,
I don't know if he still does, but Sting, for many, many years, he bought his pedals for his guitars here in Ottawa, because a fellow here makes them custom. And so you can't get them anywhere else. So Sting would get them from this one guy in Ottawa. And I remember reading that a couple of years ago. I wonder if he still does.
We'll have to ask him. I'm sure he's watching. So
yeah, oh, definitely. I'll put a call in tonight.
Every second, every second Wednesday night of the month, he watches us on the fly.
Dang straight.
Yeah.
You wouldn't miss it.
No, never. You should, and you people out there shouldn't.
Nope.
Number 3 for me, and we talked about Poison a little bit earlier with Every Rose, and I mentioned Tesla opened up for them on this tour, and that night I'm sitting there listening to Tesla, and I was a fan of Tesla from Mechanical Resonance, and they had come out with the Great Radio Controversy album, which I think is great. It's one of, if you haven't listened to that from top to bottom, it's a great album. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I hear this guitar intro, and it goes on for a little while, and then I'm like, what is this song? I mean, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, they break into the next number 3 on my list, Love Song, which hadn't been released as a single yet at the time, or a video on MTV. And when I heard it, I was like, holy crap, this is going to be a hit for them. You've got the whole power ballad era. But I'll tell you what, that freaking intro that they do for it is Frank Hannon, an underrated guitar player. I mean, he kills it. And then Jeff, what can you say about Jeff Keith? People talk about him now. They say he looks like the Crypt Keeper. I mean, but yes.
People are so nice. People are so kind in today's world. Oh, let me tell you, they're so considerate.
It's no telling what they say I look like, but
yeah, I whatever. Yeah.
This song is, and the video is a concert video, and you just get the feel of being at a Tesla concert. But man, love will. They keep saying love will find a way, and I can't sing, so I'm not gonna even.
But Tesla, like that makes you a real rock fan. See, people who can name off like Tesla songs, I know you're a real rock fan.
Oh,
Like
God,
because
because
like they didn't get the hype, right?
No.
They didn't get the hype that other bands got.
They were not a hair band. I don't care what anybody says. They came out with music at that time. They were not a hair band. They were more of a blues rock band. I mean, Tesla, Modern Day Cowboy, Changes, Signs, Love Song, Paradise. But what else? What was the other one? Dadgummit, I've got it. I think I've ran out. My 50-year-old brain can't handle it anymore. But Love Song, man, I could listen to this over and over, especially watching the video, because I've said it time and time again. And you guys know, you guys have made videos. When you put a song to a video and a person if you already like the song, even if you don't particularly like the song that much, you're kind of on the fence. But when you see that video and you're like, holy crap, this brought out a whole new part of the song to me, and I'm going to have to go out and buy it now. I mean, there was a lot of different things that I saw on MTV when I go to my friend's house, because, you know, like I said, we didn't have cable, but there was a lot of times I'd go buy a cassette just because I saw the video on MTV, and that was it. But yeah, Love Song, number 3.
Very nice. Okay, number 2. It's kind of a tie. Kind of a tie here. Let's go. We talked about earlier, like Hotel California. I think I have to put it in here in the 2 spot. And obviously, it's just one of the most masterfully written songs of all time. So I think that alone, you know, the Eagles, come on. The vocals, the writing, everything.
The harmony.
It's so, the details, everything is there. But what I put up beside it here is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. So I think, yeah. And I think Fleetwood Mac as well is like one of those bands where I could have put like 3 or 4 songs in here in this list, because they're just they're so good. But those are my picks that I'm tying there at number 2.
I have a Fleetwood Mac song as one of my honorable mentions, and it's got to be the version from the dance, the live when they got back, Silver Springs.
Yeah.
And the reason I say the live version is there's so much emotion in that freaking song, especially near the end, when Stevie Nicks is singing and she is just deadlocked, laser eye beams at Lindsey Buckingham, and is singing that song to him. Yeah, if I was Lindsey Buckingham, I probably would have been a little scared at the time, but
there's something to be said for a band that has everyone in the band has had sex with each other. You know, there's something to be said for those kinds of bands, and they're rare. You know, rarer and rarer. And and there's another thing. People are like, oh well, you're in a band with 4 guys. It's like, yep, it's better that way. I've heard all the stories. I don't need any stories. And you can say, oh well, you could be an adult, you could be a professional. You're right, I can, but can all 5 of us do that at the same time always, or whatever it is. So yeah, great selection.
Yeah, I think Silver Springs, because my daughter, she is a big Fleetwood Mac fan now, and she'll, of course, when we drive somewhere, she'll get control of the music, and for the most part, I'm good with it. There's some new stuff that I on the fence of, but and then she brought out Fleetwood Mac, and I thought, okay. And then she brought out Silver Springs, but she played the studio album version. I said, hey, not bad. Check out the one on the dance. Just and when we get home, we need to watch the video, and you'll see why. I said, because even in the audio version, you can feel it. After you've seen the video, you can feel it. So Yeah, number 2, Hotel California. Hotel California, like I said, just for the dual guitar solos alone. I mean,
we're both there, right? Like it's
I mean, the Eagles can't do anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
it's
they
pretty hard to beat it.
might be a bunch of buttholes to each other, but
Hey, that's bands.
I don't have to worry
that's
about
bands, man.
See what you put on stage. Number 2 for me, and this is a band that came out of nowhere to me when this came out, because a lot of people liked their album before it, and I hadn't really heard it. Didn't have MTV, but this is a simple song. It's a guitar and a singer. The drummer in the video, the drummer and the bass player are sitting off to the side. One of them holds up a lighter at the time. Simple black and white video with just these two, and one of the great guitar players out there right now, or of that era and this era, Nuno Betancourt. I'm talking about more Than Words by Extreme.
Nice.
To tell you, and I've said it a million times on the show, I am a sucker for harmonies. And when Nuno does the harmony on this, I took it upon myself to listen to this song so many times that if me and you were to get on stage and you sang Gary Sharon's part, I could, as I'm not saying I'm a great singer or anything,
you hit those parts.
I can hit the harmonies just like that. I know them.
Nice.
Even to this day, if I hadn't listened to the song in a long time, I can hit the harmonies just like that. I mean, so simple, such a simple song, but so powerful.
Yeah. I remember when I was talking about people having sex to music. I mean, that's probably, that song right there. I mean, come on. That's it right there. I mean, that's right up there with the Barry Whites of lovemaking music. And so many people's wedding songs, I think a lot of people danced to that song. And yeah, the simplicity of that video is what made the parody of it so amazing.
Oh,
yeah. Like this, it makes the parody so easy to do, and it's cool. I love it.
But and you don't really realize as a kid I was a kid. Actually, this came out about the time I was graduating. But you don't realize what the song means. I mean,
yeah.
Anybody can say "I love you," and it gets to the point where if you say it so much, it kind of becomes
meaningless. Yeah.
But then when you show it, you can show it. It means more than just saying the words. I mean,
yeah, you'll feel it when people show it. You feel it.
I mean, they actually had to fight with the record company to get this released as a single, which goes to show you, record companies don't know everything. They're not as smart as they think they are sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This song wasn't released. Extreme probably wouldn't. They may not have done another album.
Well, it's just like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
So, sometimes greatness, people just they're not ready for it. Certain people, they're not ready for it. But that's what's great about music, though. Some songs, they take 2 or 3 listens. Some songs, it's the first listen, and all the hooks will hit. Yeah. But most songs, they're designed where it will be like the second or the third listen, where you're going to start to appreciate. Your brain will start to appreciate those hooks and where they're being repeated. And that's what's cool about music. It can grow on you. It can change a little bit. Yeah.
The quote, they said that Nuno actually quit the band over the issue with the record company. He said our label at the time, which was A&M Records, didn't want to release More Than Words as a single because there was nothing on the radio like that at the time. The label said, who's going to play it? Everybody was doing big power ballads at the time. This was more like an Everly Brothers or Beatles track, but we fought for it. So,
yeah. As an artist, what are you supposed to go for, right? You're supposed to find a song Like, well, as an artist, you ask this question: what makes a hit? All the time. What makes a hit? Is it the Casey Kasem Top 40? I think deep down, what makes a hit is you're willing to go to war for it.
Yeah.
It's a song that you fully believe in. Like the band, everyone in the band is like, that, I love that. That song, people are going to love it. Like, I'll wager on it. And it actually becomes a thing where it's like, okay, how much money are you willing to put behind that song? How much of your faith are you willing to put behind that song? Because that often is what can define a hit for a band. Is it's the song that they believe in. It's the song they're willing to say, if you don't like it, I'm out, you know?
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that, what was another song? There was something else, another song I was thinking of at the time that you have reminded me of it. And I'm getting old. I'm telling you, I'm getting old, Warren. All right.
I know the feeling.
Let's go to yeah, I bet you do.
Number one?
Boy. Yeah, number one for you.
All right. Okay. This was, for me, easy.
Easy peasy.
I don't think any of the songs compete with this one in my mind as a composition, as a complete music. What's that? Yes. Yes. My heart will go on. No. Believe me. Come on. This has to be your number one. I have this feeling. All right, let's see if we line up. My number one is by someone who recently passed away. Not that recently, but recently.
I'm going to tell you.
Not yours?
No.
Okay.
I'm interested to hear who this is, though.
It's Meatloaf. I Do Anything for Love. And I think as a musical composition and as a music video and as a finished ballad product, I don't believe anything comes close. But that's just me. And that's what's great about music. You can be such a fan. And I just think he didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with the way I Would Do Anything for Love was made. Like, it's just every step that was creatively chosen was perfect. And I mean, you could take it out of the context of the album. I mean, you put it into the album context and it's like, what? The whole concept of the whole album, it's like, what? But no, you can take it out and say, forget the rest, and it's still going to hit. To me, it's easy top 10 for anybody's list, in my opinion. Yeah. And I just think, for me, it hits. It hits all the notes. So I love Meatloaf. I fell in love with him the first time I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I love his performances in that. And when I read that movie literally launched him into respectability, I was happy. I was happy to hear that, well, he got a chance, he made the most of it, and then people believed in him and they gave him what he needed. But I mean, that whole album to me is just, you're never going to get like a recreation of that. Like, it's just so perfect. So perfect.
I'll go along with that because, you know, that song was the big comeback for him at the time. I mean, he done Bat Out of Hell back in the what was it, late 70s, I think.
When he like blew everyone out of the water and was like, here I am.
Hell, and then I think he kind of, I don't know, the stories I hear, he kind of got burnt out after that. He had put so much into it, he kind of got burnt out. And then
I believe it.
This and the video, I always wondered though. He said, "I would do anything for love, but I won't do that." What is that? What is he talking about? Is that just to keep us wondering what that is?
That's the thing. That's what makes it's so amazing. That's what makes, I think, part of what makes the hook so great is it's asking your brain what you wouldn't do.
Yeah,
you know. So every person singing the song, singing along with him, is going, but what is it? What wouldn't I do for that person? And that's a, yeah.
And when the girls start singing, sooner or later you'll be screwing around. He's like, I won't do that.
Yeah.
And that was
I love the way. Yeah, the way he's able to bring in the female vocalists in his songs and play with them like it's an opera or like it's a play. I mean, that's where he really showed rock music a new place it could go. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing. What was the? There was another song off that album, "Rock and Roll Dreams Come True." But what was the song? Gosh, there was people doing like a challenge for it. A couple, because Celine Dion did that song too. He did it, and she did it too. Hold on, I'm thinking. What did he do? It's all coming back to me now.
It's all coming. Did he? I mean, that's definitely a Celine powerhouse right there. We could have picked that one. We could have put that on the list.
I'm gonna look up. Yes, he did. It's all coming back to me now.
That's crazy. Like he wrote it, or did he perform it at some point?
He performed it.
He's the backing vocals on the Celine track?
That's what it says.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
It said the song. Hold on. A power ballad written by Jen Steinman. Sunday Times said that Steinman protects his song as if they were his children. Meatloaf had wanted to record the song for years, but Steinman saw it as a woman's song. He won a court case which prevented Meatloaf from recording it. So maybe not. Girl group Pandora's Box went on to record it and was subsequently made famous through a cover by Celine Dion, which upset Meatloaf because he was going to use it for a planned album with the working title Bad Out of Hell 3. Why am I thinking that he did this?
He would have killed it.
Yes, he would have.
If there's a version of that with him, I'd like to hear it. I'll bet you it's better than the Celine version.
Hold on. I'm okay. Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe I just imagined it. For some reason, I knew there was a Meatloaf connection there. So I was right in the way.
Nice.
All right. So my number one. And this song pretty much started the whole power ballad era. It's a great video. The video is like probably started the trend of bands doing the on the road, backstage videos, seeing what's going on on tour. And it was a remake back in 90. It got remade in 91. Not a great version. And there was also your buddy Chester did a remake of it too. I'm sorry, as good of a voice he had, I'm partial to the original, but I'm talking about Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue. The Air of Pain, 1985. I mean, this song, when I heard it the first time, I can remember to this day going to the local, when we had a record store, we had a shopping mall, and the record store was called Camelot Music. We went in there, and I'd been reading about Motley Crue's new album for months and months in the hit parade or certain magazines. So we went the day it came out, went and got it. And back in the day, this was one of the things that I don't know if many people have seen it. The cassettes, they would have them in like a sleeve that was about this, some of them about this tall. And it would have decoration. It would have the pictures of the band and all this stuff on it. And I was like, I wish I would have kept that. But man, when I put this album on, and back, I say it time and time again, back in the day, it wasn't like it is when you have Spotify, you have Apple, where you can pick and choose your songs because you're not really,
no.
I mean, you're paying a set amount monthly fee. When you bought a cassette or an album back then, you were paying whatever it costs for an album or cassette. You were going to listen to that the whole way through. And starting off with City Boy Blues, and then it get to the middle of the first side of the cassette, and I hear this intro, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Because you really didn't have power ballads from like hard rock bands back then.
No. And to your point, about buying the album and what it meant. and how today people who are born today or in the last 10 years, they didn't go through the technical changes that we saw happen so fast, where it went 8-track to the cassette tape, to the CD, or the record or whatever it is. And every time what's happening is people are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on their music collection. And it was very important to everybody, wasn't it? Everybody had to have, and if some guy had a really great collection of music, that's where people went and hung out. And, it's changed. It's so different. The world is so different than when I was 13 years old. And I'm sure it's radically different than when you were 13 years old, right? Like, and I don't think either of us are old. It's just time has, the technological changes have been insane. And the impact on music has really been, it's been wild. It's been wild. The fact that we're on Spotify now where people can just whatever the heck they want, or YouTube whenever they feel like it. However, that was not how it was for me either. My mom had about 100 cassette tapes, and then they changed the CDs. So then I started wanting to buy CDs. And then I have my uncle's record collection that he built up religiously in the 70s. And I love it. I love turning on my record player and putting an album on. I think it's great. And going back to our point of Bob Rock saying it's not smart for bands to do albums. And he's right that financially, unless you are a made name, there's not going to be any monetary benefit, basically, to doing that album. And getting a single to go off the ground is hard enough. So if you, like I said, it's about finding that song you really, really believe in and that you're willing to basically mortgage everything on.
Yep.
And that song will make or break you. But most of the time, because of the passion and the work you put into it, I mean, it's like I said, I look up to certain bands that I work with here. We're going to open for the Lazies. I look up to those guys. They've worked with Billy Talent a lot when they produce and write their albums. And Billy Talent's a great band up here in Canada that I don't know how big they are in the States, but they're legends here. They're fantastic. And I advise anybody down there to look into them. And they kind of discovered this band, these Aussies called the Lazies. And they're great. So, and the Damn Truth, we were talking about them. Yeah. Same thing. Like they're going all in. They believe in their dreams. They play in the UK. They're recording with the best rock producer in the world that they could possibly find. And so I'm proud of the little Canadian bands that I'm surrounded by, or the Canadian projects that we're trying to hit with the big guys. But as you know, and I know this, and everyone in rock knows this, rock is the best. Do you know why it's so hard to get into rock? Because it's the best. There's no catalog like rock music. It doesn't exist. I'm sorry. I love all genres. You can't get me to say that I don't, because listen, I've taken African dance. I took jazz. I took tap. I took ballet. So you won't get it, Warren, saying, oh, I don't like that genre. No. I was raised in the country, so I grew up on country and western. So I know they're going to tell me that they're the best. And I know that hip hop's going to tell me that they're the best. And they're both right, but come on, rock. The catalog's insane. The catalog's insane. And, you just start with the Beatles. If you want to. There's so many other places.
My album challenge, I just listened to, that I know it's a greatest hit album, 2 greatest hits album, but the Red and the Blue albums. And, like I rank them 1 to 5, each song 1 to 5. And I was surprised because I'm not that big of a Beatles fan, but I was surprised at how many songs I had at 4 and 5s. I mean, one of my honorable mentions here was Something by the Beatles. I think that but the vocals and the guitar on that song, the way it's that Oh my gosh,
Yeah, man, it's genius and it's magic. That Beatles stuff is magic, man.
that
And
song by far my favorite. I'll go ahead and give that away right now. That is by far my favorite Beatles song. And I think that's George Harrison singing it. It does a great job. I love that song.
you could go on and on with them, right? Like they're just, well, yeah. One of my honorable mentions I wanted to get to was Chris Stapleton, Starting Over. Now, it's not rock, but as a ballad or a balladeer, if you want to talk about songwriters and like prime, it's like Chris Stapleton, folks. If you're not into him, then you're missing out. And yeah, so I wanted to bring him up as an honorable mention, just as like you want good ballads or like good songs that hit you hard in the heart. That's where you need to go. And I wanted to say, like, I found this song and I really liked it, and I hadn't heard it before. And it's Kate Bush, Wuthering Heights. So it didn't make my list, but I liked it, and I thought the chorus was weird and trippy, and it pulled me in, her high-pitched voice. So I'd tell people check that one out. But yeah, I've had so much fun. I want to talk about one more thing about Taming Sari, my band. So I was talking about the ballads. So we did Gone and Run Away, and I love that song, and I love when people tell me they like that song, because we didn't put any big budget into promoting it or anything. It's just, it's one of those songs with people, if they buy our album, then they're going to get it, I believe. And so we did this song on the last album, Kiss You Goodbye. It was the last song we had to do. We wrote it in studio. And when it was like, as our producer saying, like, yeah, you've got all these bangers, but you need one ballad. Like, you need a ballad. Otherwise, it's not an album. And we were like, okay. So there you go. It's another tip for everyone out there. It's not an album if it doesn't have at least one ballad. So we crunched it. We have a young guitar player in the band compared to me, at least. He's 26, right? So
if he's young compared to you.
Yeah, he's younger than me. It hurts. But anyways, he's not in his 30s, Stevie. It hurts, okay? So he's 26, and I'm telling you, men are self-destructive in their 20s. But anyways, that's another story. But he's a fantastic guitar player, and what I did to him was he had this beautiful riff that he had written, and I just said, we're going to use this riff for this ballad. But I said, what I need you to do is like just tell me a story about like getting your heart broken. And so he said, okay, well, told me this story about how he had to leave his girlfriend because he was bad for her. And that feeling of, I have to go because I'm never going to get healthy staying here. I have to go fix myself so that I can try and be good enough for you. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's the whole premise of our song, Joe. I'm like, you see, like all you had to do was think about a little bit of a heartbreak, and bam, out came this emotional song. And so that's my promotion for my band. I'd say go check out Kiss You Goodbye by Taming Sari on Spotify. And that's our ballad and our latest attempt at it. And our latest power ballad, I guess, The Flood. That's more popular. You could hear The Flood on Spotify as well, or on YouTube, and that's more of a power ballad. Whereas Kiss You Goodbye is the straightforward, love you, lovey-dovey, more than words ballad style, you know? Yeah. It's been a lot of fun tonight, Stevie.
Heck yeah, dude. And look, guys, if you look scrolling across the screen, if you want to check out their website, tamingsariband.com, you see my shirt. You can buy a shirt just like this. Speaking of which, how about the album? How'd the album end up selling?
Oh, it's doing good. So like we have these CDs here. I'll send you. Do you have one?
The CD? No, I don't have the CD.
All right, I'll send this to you. I'll send you a few of them. Anyway, so it's kind of like, she's kind of like Wonder Woman, I guess, but she's not. She's like a Valkyrie. She's Taming Sari. She's sorry. Anyways, So we had a lot of fun. This album was partially funded by the Ontario government here, which really helped us out.
Yeah.
So we're very proud of that we got that grant from them, and they believed in us. So what we're working to do right now is to go take this, because this was released in 2023. So we're working really hard right now to take this basically out of the country. We're trying really hard, and we're this close. And I want to make the announcement, but I can't yet because it would jinx it. But I really wanted to come on here and make big announcements. But what I'll say is it's close. It's very close, to the point that I am very optimistic that we will be taking this album, My Heart, My Love, out of the country, and not the US yet. But I want to, and we want to, and the steps we're taking, I think, will lead us in that direction. It's just very expensive to play in the US right now. It's just very, very expensive. And otherwise, we'd already be there.
Yeah.
We talked with a management group in Arizona because, funny enough, we went and performed at Canadian Music Week, which is a big event here. It's where the bands try and go and get noticed or seen or struck their stuff against other up-and-coming artists. And we met with some management from Arizona, and for a while it looked like maybe we would sign with this group there, you know, and then you get a contract and you send it out to 4 different lawyers, and they all circle in red the same clauses that give you nightmares, right? And you go, okay, no, that doesn't work. So, you know, you're talking about labels, and the music industry is so different now. It's so different. What's not different is if you have money, you can get your product out there. And this is the same for any business, right? How big is marketing? Right. If you don't market, you don't sell. And with 60,000 new songs a day on Spotify, how are you expecting to be heard? So to if there's any young bands out there watching or whatever, just think on these things. Think about how you want to stand out. And it's all about your plan, your business plan, because forget about record labels. Unless you look like Justin Bieber and you sound like Justin Bieber and you're able to maintain that for the time, they're special. Stars are special people. They really are. Certain celebrities that we see out there who have made it, and we go, oh, come on, there's nothing. Listen, Leonardo DiCaprio is one hell of an actor, and he's deserved his kudos, right? There's certain people out there you go, oh, damn, anyone could do. No, not anybody could be this person. It's not true. Not anyone can be Alice Cooper, for just to throw out another random example. Like, not anyone could be Elvis. So play your character. Who are you? That's my advice for the young bands. And yeah, buy our album on tamingsariband.com. Stream us on Spotify. And look at Stevie's the best. Stevie Flythe. Keep giving this guy lots of love. He's good stuff, man. And Stevie, you're building a community. I don't know. The first time we did this, you didn't have this banner.
No,
you didn't have this.
Look, the first time you were actually on the show was the first video interview I ever did. And that was the only reason was because we didn't realize that to call to Canada, I had to have another long distance plan. That's the I had crappy internet then. It's been, oh man, it's been just a lot of changes. We didn't have the intro videos. We didn't have the banners. Thanks to Bubba Rosenbaum from the Sports Objective Podcast for putting all these banners and stuff together for me. I really appreciate
and you're building a community here. Aren't you? You're getting people in this circle.
We're gonna go on par with Taming Sari. When you take off, we're gonna take off because
hell yeah,
you were one of the first ones up here, and you're about to be a member of the Five Timers Club up here. We're gonna have to get something for you for the Five Timers Club. Only one in there. Like I said, only one in there. So Warren is going to be. We're going to already map out another episode for Warren. But
I'm going to send you a T-shirt. I'm going to send you a T-shirt and an album, lickety split. As soon as I get out of here. But you'll have the new T-shirt with the Valkyrie girl on it. Okay, you'll have the new Sorry girl. She's coming to you. I'm gonna ship it. You're in where? North Carolina?
The big old metropolis of Alaska, North Carolina, boy. All 90 people, all 90 people in this town. So
It's impeccable to me that a country like the United States even has a town with 90 people in it. Like it's amazing.
I told you we've got 90 people, but we have a private school, we have a golf course, and a country club. Somehow we got here, but yeah,
important 90 people.
Yes. I was told, and you might not know this show. You ever heard the old Andy Griffith show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was told by. There you go.
Oh yeah.
There was a guy that helps me do the podcast sometimes, and I'm on his sometimes. That said, you're like the freaking Andy Taylor of this era because you're like commissioner, football coach, and all this, and everybody knows you. And I'm like, if I'm Andy Taylor, then I'm pretty good. Then I can handle it being Andy Taylor.
Like I've got this trippy vest here, and I'm not really sure what the animal is. For a while, I thought it was a cat, and then I thought maybe it was a monkey. But you know what? I think it's a goat, and Stevie's the goat. So there you go. I've got my goat vest on. And at least if those are, I don't know what those are. They could be cats. They could be cat goats. But either way,
have the long legs. It looks more like a lizard, but with the long legs.
See, we don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, they're goats, and you're the goat, Stevie.
Yeah, I like the connection. Dude, I can't thank you enough. You guys are always welcome on the show. Whenever there's something you guys need to push, I would love to have you on here. And good luck to you. I know you were hoping to have a big announcement on here, but good luck to you.
As soon as I get the news, I'll come on here and I'll share it with you. Yeah, I'll share it with you.
Guys, nothing for the best because you guys, are great guys and you deserve the best. Because look, guys, I can tell you, the first conversation with Warren, we had like an hour and a half long conversation on Twitter one night, just back and forth, talking about music and stuff. And I was like, well, we got to get him on the pod. Why don't I just get him on the podcast and we can talk about all this crap? So yeah, I can't tell you enough, bud. I wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure Taming Sari is going to hit it big before long. You're going to get that break, and you're going to hit it big.
Well, thanks, man. We're loving it. We're loving making music and performing music. Either way, it's still amazing no matter what.
And see, you got the same attitude as I do. People will talk about. They asked about my numbers. I said, well, I'd like my numbers to be better. You know what? If I get to talk to people that I usually wouldn't talk to, I probably, without this podcast, I wouldn't be talking to. And to make a friendship like with Warren or some of these other people that I've talked to, that's what makes it worthwhile. I told my wife, if I don't make a dime off of the podcast, it's fine because I'm getting to talk about stuff I love with people that have that same passion for it too. That's what it's all about. Yep. And you guys are the same way. Yeah, I'd love to be getting Joe Rogan money from Spotify, but that ain't happening right now. So,
and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop you. No. It's not going to slow you down. I mean, that's ultimately what we all have to realize as people. It's like other people's success. It's not going to define our journeys. Exactly. Other people's success. It's not really about us. We can use it as inspiration. But if we use other people's success to put ourselves down, it's no good. It's useless then. But thank you so much, Stevie. I had a lot of fun tonight.
The official house band for On the Fly, Taming Sari, the lead singer for Taming Sari, Mr. Warren Meredith. Yeah, thank you, bud. That's going to do it, guys. You guys have a great week and have a great Valentine's Day. Make you a good playlist or, go old school. Make a mixtape for that certain somebody. You look at it. It looks like Justin Bieber right there.
Yeah, I'm a Bieber. Oh yeah. There you go, folks.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for tonight. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next time on The Fly.